Hi there, it's Bonnie with So Inspired by Bonnie with another Tuesday's tip. Please go ahead and follow, like, or share my page if you think this tip might be beneficial to some of your sewing buddies out there. Go ahead and give me a shout out so that I know you're here so we can get started. I'm going to refresh the page on my computer and see if we have some folks showing up. Give them a little bit of time. Make sure that everybody can hear me. So if you can hear me, you might give me a little thumbs up or some love. Carol said, hi from Texas. Hi, Carol. I see Deborah and Judy. Houston's showing up. Awesome. Michigan, and Pam says hi to everybody. Now, many of you have been here before, but in case you haven't, I'll give you a little bit of a recap. We will share this video on YouTube after the broadcast, as well as Pinterest. It'll probably be later in the day. It'll also be replayed on the Facebook page, our Facebook page, I should say. So if you miss it, there's always going to be the replay. I add the captions later. I can't type and do this at the same time, so the captions are added after the fact on the replays. So just a little tidbit there. Also, I'll go through the demonstration. If you have questions, I will answer as many questions as I can at the end. Sometimes as it's going along, I don't see the questions, trying to sew and see the computer and talk to you all at the same time. I feel like a one-man band, so it's a little bit much. I try to answer the questions at the end. If I didn't get to your question live, I will read it and answer it later when I do see it. But I do go through the questions, as those of you that have been here a while can attest to. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic is using your GlitterFlex scraps. Now, some of you may not know what GlitterFlex is. It might be kind of foreign to you. Many of you know that we sell GlitterFlex on my website at soinspiredbybonnie.com. But if you don't know what it is, it's a type of heat transfer vinyl. We have right around 60 colors of the GlitterFlex on our website. But what it is it's a type of heat transfer vinyl. You can, oh, I have one a little scrap on it right now. It's a type of heat transfer vinyl that can be used with your embroidery machine. It can be used with your cutting machine. It has a lot of different uses. You can use it with embroidery or without. You don't have to have embroidery to use GlitterFlex. But it's a lot of fun with the embroidery. As you can see, he really sparkles and adds that extra element of pop that you don't see it everywhere. So that little design, the hippo, was from our Jungle Buddy set, and he took about a 4x5 inch square of the GlitterFlex. Well, after you trim around the GlitterFlex, you're going to get some scraps. And GlitterFlex is not real cheap. It's you know, it's kind of pricey, so we want to use it as much as we can. And so when I got this tip from Terry, I was really excited about it because I thought, oh my goodness, this will save people money. This brings another element of creativity to our embroidery. So let me share with you what she said. I got this tip from Terry Manning, and she said, here's my tip on GlitterFlex. Small leftover scraps of GlitterFlex, or I should say different colors of GlitterFlex, can be added to butterflies. It doesn't matter if they overlap because the black veins will secure them. And it's just a butterfly. And I thought, wow, Terry, that's a great idea. She didn't give me a whole lot of details other than what was just stated there on how she does this. I just dropped something. Just a sec. It's my little notes. So she didn't give me a whole lot of details about how she accomplished this. So I went to my sewing room. Let me back up a minute. Dropping something threw me off my pace. since Terry did send in that tip, and I am going to use her tip, I'm going to send her 5 6x10 sheets of the GlitterFlex. So please, if you have a great tip, send it to me at Bonnie@soinspiredbybonnie.com, and if I use it in one of my Facebook Lives, I will send you some GlitterFlex. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay, so again, this little hippo used about a 4x5 inch square of the GlitterFlex. You're going to get scraps of GlitterFlex after you cut around him. And I thought this was a great idea on how to use up those scraps so that we can get the most out of our GlitterFlex, save a little money, and as I said before, add a new dimension of creativity to our embroidery. So I went to my sewing room and I experimented with it a little bit to see how best to make this happen. And GlitterFlex has two sides to it. It has a very sparkly side, and then it has a not sparkly side. So I wanted the sparkly side obviously up, but I knew I would be dealing with tiny small pieces, so I needed a way to secure them, tame them if you will, get them under control so that I could do my applique. So again, I have a lot of scraps because I'm cutting this up to sell, and so I wind up with these little, they're kind of like little strips at the end of a bolt, little leftover scraps. And I've just put them in a bag because I thought I'll have a use for them sometime. I didn't want to throw them away, but they're not quite big enough for most of my applique pieces. So I wasn't sure what to use them with. But when Terry's idea came in, I thought this is the perfect place. So if your scrap is like this with the clear vinyl still attached, and it may not be because you may have already removed the clear carrier on it, if the clear carrier is still on there, obviously this won't apply if it's already off because you've done some appliques, but if it is already on there, you're going to find yourself a corner and get it started, and you're going to pull that clear carrier off, and you're just going to toss the clear carrier. You don't need that. It's just a protective sheet. I say that, but it's not. It's actually, you use it if you're not doing embroidery, you can use that to transport it to your project and press on top of it. So it's got a multi-purpose as well. For our embroidery, generally speaking, we don't use the clear carriers, so we remove it. But then it'll expose a very sparkly section. And here I've got the clear carrier off of these little strips of vinyl for the GlitterFlex. You'll see here. And it's much sparklier once the clear carrier has been removed. That does make it sparklier. So, how are we going to do this? Well, first you're going to stitch your placement line as you ordinarily would on your embroidery. Now I'm going to turn the camera so that you see the hoop and what we're doing there. So you won't really see me, but that's okay. You just need to see the hoop. And I think that's pretty good. I think, oops, let me turn it there. Get it down a little bit more. Sorry, excuse my hand. Okay, so now you can see the hoop area. We're going to stitch our design. Now I've pulled up a little pumpkin, and I had some scraps again that were pumpkin color. I have some dark gold. I've got some copper in here. I could have added some light gold. Whatever colors you want to add to your design is fine. And I'm going to sew my first placement line. And my machine, being the little darling that it is right now, it had to misbehave in front of everybody. It's telling me to rethread, so I'm going to rethread. This happens to everybody from time to time. No worries. It just didn't like how it was threaded. And I'm going to take it back to the beginning here and let it try again. Now I'm going to stitch my placement line in a black color so that you can see it. I do recommend stitching your tack down stitch in a higher contrast than you ordinarily would with your standard applique. GlitterFlex, because it is so sparkly, has a tendency to hide those stitches, making it a little bit more challenging to trim around because you can't really see the thread. So I always recommend to use a little bit higher contrast color on your thread than you ordinarily would with your standard machine applique with regular cotton fabric. Okay, but I've even gone to an extreme here for the live video because I wanted you to be able to see. Okay, so here you've got a little placement line for my pumpkin. I guess I should turn him upright, and there's the little placement line for the pumpkin. So what we're going to do, and I'm working with my light out so that there's not glare on the video, so it's a little dark for me, but that's okay, is we're going to take some regular glue stick. It's just, you know, your standard Elmer's glue that you get from the office supply store. It's nothing fancy. The Elmer's glue stick, the school glue, does not gum up your needle. It works great for holding things down temporarily, and so that's what I did. I'm going to take and kind of work like a little mosaic. I'm taking my GlitterFlex. I've either torn a little piece off of my scrap here or I've cut a piece. It doesn't matter which way you do it. And then you're just going to start laying it in. And again, you can either cut some scraps and just cut them cattywampus, whatever, or you can tear some scraps off. This is something that can be torn. So either way you want to do it, either tearing it or cutting up little scraps. Now, I did do fairly small scraps here. These are not big. It's kind of like fussy cutting. And then I took and added the glue to the wrong side of the GlitterFlex, and I just started gluing these little pieces down inside the placement stitch. And I just kept going. As you can see, I'm kind of adding little bits and pieces here and there. It's like a mosaic. And I thought, you know, when I was taking the shower this morning, I was thinking, how else could I use that? You know, what else could I do with this? And the thought crossed my mind, wouldn't this be pretty? You could, if you had an applique of a flower, you could have the leaves change color. You could go from, like a hibiscus, sometimes they go from yellow to orange, or pink to white. I mean, there's all kinds of colors that a petal on a flower goes. So you could kind of fussy cut and actually add the color you wanted to the section of your applique that you wanted. You can expand on this. Again, think outside the box. This gives you more control in some ways of putting color exactly where you want it. I was thinking of a rainbow. You know, rainbow has that large arc, and you could fussy cut little colors all the way around, you know, the different sections of the rainbow and get a very interesting look. So I think this has some real possibilities to expand upon. Now, I'm not going to have you watch me do the whole pumpkin, but you get the idea where I'm just taking them, I'm overlapping them, and I'm going to completely cover this whole area. I'm going to overlap outside this placement line. So I'm going to completely cover with my little scraps the pumpkin. When you do that, me cover up my glue stick here so it doesn't dry out. When you do that, you're going to wind up with something like this, depending upon the colors that you use, of course. And I've completely covered my placement line. Don't judge me on my dirty hoop. I need to clean it, I know, but sometimes I kind of like them a little bit dirty. It sounds crazy, but they have a little bit extra stick to them to hold the fabric. It's, I know, a little crazy, but so a dirty hoop isn't all bad. That's what I tell myself. So when I want to stitch this down, I want to make this permanent, I want to hold it in place, I used a little piece of tulle. Now, since I was using golds and coppers, I had this kind of burgundy piece of tulle. Let me see if I have a piece of paper so that you can see it better. That's two-sided. It's not white on the back. I need something that's white. Here you can kind of see how the tulle has a little bit of shade of color to it. You can use white tulle. That's fine. I just noticed that this reddish tulle, it's not an exact color, but it's like a burgundy. When I laid it on top of my tulle, or excuse me, when I laid the tulle on top of my GlitterFlex, it kind of blended in with the GlitterFlex. The white on top of this copper still worked fine. There was no problem with it, but it just had a little bit, it changed the color a little bit on the GlitterFlex. So you might want to lay a couple of colors of tulle on top of your GlitterFlex scraps there and see which one works best for you. Okay, so now we've basically laid down the material. We're going to lower the presser foot. I'm going to change the color so that I can see this better with the green. Because again, I like to have a higher contrast when I'm sewing with the GlitterFlex than I would ordinarily with just regular fabric. So now I'm going to stitch my tack down stitch, and it's going to go over all the layers of the GlitterFlex. So now I have a tack down around my GlitterFlex scraps there. And now I'm going to trim my applique as I ordinarily would. I'm going to trim the tulle as well as the GlitterFlex, going around the outer perimeter here, just trimming it as close as I can. And then finish the applique as I would any other embroidery, choosing the colors that I want to use. I found that in this instance, not tearing the GlitterFlex, it was easier to trim than it was to tear in this particular instance because the tulle is there and I've got a lot of little tiny pieces. So it was just easier to go ahead and trim as opposed to tearing the GlitterFlex. Because again, tearing the tulle, I guess you could a little bit, I just did. So you might be able to tear a little bit, but it doesn't tear straight. So I personally preferred trimming around the design as opposed to, and I'm kind of going fast, as opposed to tearing the GlitterFlex off. Okay, I'm going to tap my hoop down there to get rid of the little scraps. Okay, so now you have your design with the little scraps of GlitterFlex in there, and it's secured with the tulle. But then what I do is I'm going to fuse this with a press cloth, and I don't have my press cloth with me. So, because I don't want to touch the tool with a really hot iron, I will be right back. I'm going to get a scrap, because you can use just about anything for your press cloth. And I have a little scrap here. It doesn't have to be a purchased press cloth. You can use a little scrap, as I said, of fabric. And you're going to place that over the GlitterFlex. And you want to have a hot setting. That's why you need a press cloth, because if you go right on that tool with a hot iron, you're going to melt that tool. So you need a press cloth. You're going to press for about 17 to 20 seconds for each section. And once you do that, you're securing all that GlitterFlex. You're fusing it in place so that it's nice and secure, and it's not going to shift after the fact. Because if the glue, for whatever reason, comes loose, because it is going to come out in the wash, the Elmer's glue, excuse me, is washable. It washes away in the laundry. So if I were to take this and throw it in the laundry, excuse me, let me get a drink. Sorry about that. If I were to take this and throw it in the laundry without fusing it, the glue stick, I should say the glue, would come out in the wash. It would wash away. It does wash away. So then you'd have all these little loose fragments just wandering around in there, and that's not necessarily what you want. You want them to stay in place. So you do need to fuse them in place. So once you've done that, as I said, you would finish your applique as you would any other embroidery design. And I came up with just this quick little project. It's a bowl cover, and they make really cute quick gifts. If you need a quick gift for a friend for the holidays, they're really cute to put on your little bowls if you're going to a potluck for the holiday parties. But here is the little pumpkin where he's all finished. This comes from our Fun Time Veggies set, and you can see it's just kind of fun to have the little different scraps in there. But I will post the instructions to the bowl cover up in the comments after the video has been posted and it's on replay. I will post the free instructions where I got the bowl pattern. So those are really quick and easy to make. I'm going to go over here, but that's all there is to it. And as I said, I think this has a lot of potential. I see it being used on flowers, on, as I said, rainbows. I've seen some ponies with different colors on their tails. You could do that to the what are those called? They're like unicorns that have the rainbow tails. So any of those ideas, you can use these little snippets or little scraps of GlitterFlex, and you don't have to just use the big chunks. You can use the little snippets too, and don't throw those away. So I hope you'll take these ideas and think about where you could use those little scraps and where you can apply them in your appliques. And if you do have some ideas, post them in the comments below so that we can share ideas with one another on how to expand this. So I'm going to go over to my computer and see if we have any questions that I can answer or address. Okay. B said, thank you, Bonnie. You are great. Well, thanks for tuning in, B. Pam says, oh my goodness, this is a brilliant idea. When I read it from Terry, I thought it was too, and I think it has a lot of potential. I think we're just scratching the surface here, so I really hope if you come up with an idea to expand on this, that you'll share it with everybody in the comments. Deanne said that it was adorable. Barb said, oops, good class today. She likes it. I'm not seeing any specific questions. So I guess I will go on over here. I did get a note earlier today from Dawn. I'm not sure how to say her last name, Caro. But anyway, Dawn wrote that she's going to try to go live and post the computer so that her guild can see our video live with us. So I hope they're with us. I'd, like to say hi to the guild. I asked her which guild it was, and since we just got it this morning, she didn't have time to answer back and let me know which guild might be tuning in. But if you're with Dawn, hi, glad to have you. And then she also mentioned that on one of her snow buddies, it was sewing the placement line and the tack down line without having to stop. And so I wanted to let you know, if you have a problem with any of our designs where it's not stopping where it should between the placement line and the tack down, please let me know. It could be that the file got corrupt during download. Could be that the machine's not recognizing that those colors are too close to the same color, so it's merged them and made them into one color. But there definitely should be a stop between the placement line and the tack down line. So if you run into that problem, please let me know. We'll get you fixed and we'll get you a new design. No worries there. So we will get you taken care of. Then I have one other little tip. Two ladies today are going to get some GlitterFlex for sharing their tips with me, but I had to share this tip because I used it myself today, and it's something that I use also, but I didn't use it as many ways as Dawn Johnson does. And Dawn's tip was when she cleans up her sewing room, I use one of those sticky rollers to clean my ironing board, the floor that has threads on it. When I have been unpicking parts of a design, you get those little pieces of thread on the floor. And also, and this is where I never thought of using it, and also for cleaning up my cutting machines, the Scan and Cut or the Cameo. They're mats, so she uses them on the mats. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. So Dawn, you too will be getting 5 sheets of the 6x10 GlitterFlex. But I have to tell you, I used her tip today on my Steady Betty. As you can see, the Steady Betty has a lot of little, well, mine does anyway. I don't know about yours, but mine had a lot of little threads on it. And I just used my little roller to pick up threads off of it, and it cleaned it right up, and it got a lot of those threads right off of my Steady Betty and made it nice and clean again. So in no time I was able to clean up my Steady Betty because it seems to attract threads, and we all know there's never any thread in a sewing room. So anyway, love my Steady Betty. I think that is everything from today. Oh, Rusty says, I haven't seen any GlitterFlex here in Canada. Do you know where I can get it? I'm sorry, I don't know. I've had this question asked of me many times from my international friends because they're not seeing the GlitterFlex internationally. We do ship the GlitterFlex internationally. We ship all over the world. So if you're one of our international friends, please email us with the number, the quantity that you're interested in purchasing and the size of GlitterFlex you're interested, either the 10 by 12 or the 10 by 18 sheets. And we will, with your mailing address, and we will quote you what the shipping charge will be so that you can know beforehand, before you order, what it's going to run. So just to let you know. Thanks for asking, Rusty. Anna says she keeps a roller on her ironing board. I keep one in my shelf, but yeah, on the ironing board would be great just to give it a clean swoop. Oh, Carolyn said, what is a Steady Betty? A Steady Betty is a little portable ironing surface. It's very hard. Sorry. But It's great for quilters. It came out for quilters originally because when you put your bias cut fabrics on it or straight a grain, but it was really geared toward the bias cut fabrics, it doesn't stretch. When you press or iron the bias, I'm gonna need another drink. Your fabric won't stretch. I got a tickle when I talk. So it was really geared towards quilters, but I love having it right next to my ironing, not ironing surface, right next to my machine. Because when I'm doing the GlitterFlex, again, it's a nice hard surface. You don't want to press your GlitterFlex on a bouncy surface. Ironing boards sometimes are too bouncy. You want a nice hard surface to press on. The Steady Betty works great for that. But it's great for all your quilting too, because again, when you have bias cuts, they just don't stretch on this. That's why it was called Steady Betty. It keeps those bias cuts steady instead of stretching out of shape. Oh, Karen asked, I hope that answers your question. Karen and Carolyn both were asking what a Steady Betty was. I think we got everybody covered. So again, I will double check if there's any questions I missed, because the questions are on a continuing rolling basis here. It doesn't just go down. They kind of roll over and then they go out of sight where I don't see them anymore while we're live. And then when we go on to replay, I can see them and I can get your questions answered. So if I didn't get your question answered, don't worry, check a little bit later and hopefully I'll have it answered by then. I wanted to thank everybody for showing up today. Again, please sign up for our newsletter if you haven't already. It's the best way to get notifications of when our Facebook Lives are. You can sign up at sewinspiredbybonnie.com, and that's SEW. I want to thank you for showing up. I know everybody's busy, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend a little time in the sewing room with me. And I hope you found the information helpful. I hope it's spurred your imagination and you'll take it and run with it. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Until next Tuesday, bye-bye for now.